You're great to see you out here. Fifth time going to the postseason. How excited are you about this opportunity, and what have you learned from your previous opportunities that might help you this time around?
すごく楽しみにもちろんしてますし、でも過去のプレーオフっていうのは結構前の感じがするのでわからないですけれども、とにかく今回はあんまりエキサイトしすぎないようにいつも通り投げたいと思います。
Yeah, obviously excited to be here, going into the playoffs. Looking back at the past, it seems like something that's a long time ago, so I don't think I can give you a really good answer on that. But, just going into tomorrow's game, I think I'm going to try to be not too excited and not too amped up.
How much of a confidence builder is it for you that you've been throwing the ball as well as you have, and in the second half throwing the ball great, being able to take that momentum into the postseason with you?
すごくいい状態で来ていると思いますし、すごく自信を持って投げられると思います。
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place, and I feel like I can go out there with some confidence and compete.
Two great outings against the Mets so far this season. Obviously, you're constantly studying. Do those outings help you in any way, or is it sort of a blank slate as you're coming into postseason now facing this team for a third time?
いいピッチングはできてますけど、たまたまだというふうには思ってますし、ただ過去2試合も含めてその映像とか、自分がどういうふうに攻めたかっていうのは使えるので、いい方向に持っていけたらいいなと思います。
Yeah, I did do good against these guys this year, but I try not to focus too much on that. Obviously, I have the video and all that stuff leading into tomorrow's game, so I have something to study on going into the game. But I try not to focus too much on that.
I know how much you love studying and preparation and game planning. Does it change at all for a start like this one where there's so much more on the line? And what is it about that game planning process that kind of allows you to thrive?
別に特に日頃と変えた風なところはないですけど、過去2試合今年は対戦しているっていうのもあって、ある程度頭に入っているっていうところはあるので、ただすごく楽しく勉強はできました。
No, I mean you don't change anything too much. Yeah, like I mentioned, I was able to pitch 2 games against these guys this season, and I have the data and more information on them. So, yeah, again, it's always a fun process to study the opponent, and that'll be the same for this one too.
Kevin AC?
How was that different, your video study, your study of, say, like the last 10 at-bats and that sort of thing? How was that different when you just found out that it was going to be the Mets? Had you started looking at the Mets and the Cardinals?
でも、一応カージナルスも見てましたし、メッツもそうでしたし、クリンチする前はジャイアンツを見てたので、でもいっぱい見れるっていうのはいいことなので、はい。
No, yeah. I was studying the Cardinals. I was looking at the Mets, and even before we clinched the playoffs, I was looking at the Giants too. So, but again, this whole process of going through the hitters is, it's a fun process for me. So.
What have you learned from your postseason experiences? Everyone talks about how different it is, how much more exciting, much more intense, and how much of a challenge is that for you to keep it all calm?
特にチャレンジすることは僕の中では全くないというか、エキサイトをしないようにとは言いましたけど、だから普通の試合だと思って、オールスター明けの試合と、これ投げましたけど、それと同じだと思い込んでいけば大丈夫だと思います。
Yes. Yeah, like I mentioned before, try not to, get overly excited, too excited, just because it's the playoffs, We came here, I think it was after the All-Star break, and we played against these guys, and I took the mound. So it's kind of have the same mentality as that going on to the mound. That's my approach.
Just to follow up on the earlier Mets question, in your very good season, you were particularly good against them this year. Why do you think that was in those games?
運です。たまたまだと思って。
I think that was luck.
いやでも本当にその、別に他のチームと違う勉強の仕方をしたわけでもないし、メッツのバッター今見ててもやっぱりすごくいいバッターいっぱいいるので、本当に、たまたま自分がいいところに投げられたっていうところ、あと相手のその時の調子とか、そういうのにも寄ったんじゃないかなとは思いますけど。
You know, I didn't change anything. I'm talking about the regular season, you know, going against each opponent. So, you know, I would study the Mets as I would any other team. And, you know, obviously there's really good hitters over there. And I feel like I was maybe able to particularly command my pitches, locate my pitches on those given days. And also, you know, how they are with their hitting at that particular time might matter a little bit too. So, yeah, I think that all kind of goes into play.
You not just this season here, but even with your previous teams, you've had some very, very good games in this ballpark. Is this a stadium, a ballpark that you really enjoy pitching, whether it be the mound or the sight lines or something like that?
確かにそのいい結果は残ってると思うんですけど、そんなにめちゃくちゃいいイメージがあるかっていうと、そこまで、あんまりそう意識しないぐらいなので、ただそのいい成績残ってるのはすごく自信にはなるので、自信を持ってはいきたいと思いますけど。
Yeah, having good results at a particular stadium, you know, that does give you a little bit of confidence. But, you know, when I think about coming here, it doesn't necessarily give me like a really good feeling, sort of say. So, but that said, you know, I do have some good results at this stadium, and you know, hopefully, I can go in there with some more confidence.
You've put a very impressive last couple months together. What are some specific things that you think have allowed you to succeed?
コマンドがだいぶ結構特にまっすぐ系に関しては安定してたっていうところがあったので、最初の方はシーズンの初めの方はすごく変化球っていうところをこう逆ついてまっすぐ行ったりとか、そういうことができてたのは良かったんじゃないかなと思います。
I think it comes down to being really able to command the pitches, especially on my fastballs, the faster pitches. You know, I feel like I was able to hit my spots, and yeah, just overall good command of the fastball. I think helped me a lot.
Take a couple more in English, and then we'll switch to Japanese. AJ?
This might just be me, but it looks like you're having a lot of fun pitching this season. Are you having more fun pitching this season? And what do you like particularly about this team and this being in this clubhouse?
ファンと言われたら、でもそんな楽しいのかなと思うけど、でもその勉強してる時はすごくいつも言うけど楽しいし、それがちゃんと結果として時は楽しいですけど、一応プロとしてここにいるので。ちゃんとその自分がパドレスに求められていることをちゃんとするっていうことだけを考えてますけど、でもこのチームはすごくみんな明るいので、飛行機の中でもそうですし、そうやってその中でこの年になってこう一緒に野球ができるっていうのは幸せだと思います。
Yeah, we have some good characters on this team. You know, it's a fun clubhouse, and you know, just given where I am. Where I am with my career, it's, you know, it's a blessing to be in that clubhouse and have fun with those guys. But again, I kind of go back to what I was saying earlier. I think the fun process for me has always been, particularly this year, studying the hitters, you know, in the way that I was studying. So, you know, that has been the very fun process for me. And also, you know, I am a professional baseball player, and I think that comes with some certain responsibilities. And, you know, you know, you want to go out there and, you know, perform in a way that, you know, in a good way. So.
Any other questions in English? Okay, taking the back.
ダイビスさんお疲れ様です。
そうです。
レギュラーシーズン中は試合が終わった時にチームが勝っているために長いイニングを投げて、 球数を減らして失点を減らしてっていう投げ方だったと思うんですけど、このポストシーズン入って短期決戦になることで配球だったりゲームプランって変わるっていうことはありますか？
いや変わらないですね。ここに来ていきなりバンと変えて全然ダメっていうよりかはいつも通り、今年ずっとやってきたことをやった方が確率が高いと思うので変えないと思いますね。
Next question, you can raise your hand. In the front here.
はい、ダルビッシュさんお疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です
シャーザー投手とはシーズン中も投げ合って、はい非常に勉強になるピッチャーだという話をされていて、もちろん直接対戦するわけではないですけど、そういった投手とこの第一戦プレーオフの開幕投手として投げ合うことはいかがでしょう？
すごくやっぱり歴史にも残る投手だと思うので、そういう投手と、こういう舞台で、お互い年も、結構取ってる中でこうやってお互い第一戦投げれるっていうのは、自分はすごく光栄に思います。
Yuki?
サンケイスポーツ山田です。皆さんこのプレーオフの開幕戦を任されたということは率直にどう感じられますか？先ほどのお話聞いてると自然体で臨もうとしている感じがしますが、その指名された時に考えたこと思ったことがあれば教えてください。
いやでも単純に自分でも1戦目かなっていうふうには思ってたので特に驚きもなかったですし、ただ去年の今の時期にはやっぱり今の自分ここにいるのはやっぱり想像できなかったことなので、股関節のこともありましたし、でもやっぱりここに立てるっていうのはやっぱり家族のやっぱりファンであったりとか、そういういろんな方たちの支えがあってのここなので、そういう意味ではすごくいろんな方に感謝はしてます。
Back left the room.
すみません、共同通信の白石です。お疲れ様です。先ほどからいつも通りということをおっしゃってますけど、なかなかなんでしょう、いつも通りと思っても難しい部分もあったりと思うんですね。その辺どう心がけたり、何か日頃の生活面だったり、どの辺意識されていつも通りにやろうと思われますか？
多分結局いつも通り多分難しい、いつも通りやるのが難しい理由って結局そのポストシーズンいつもと違う試合だっていう自分の認識があるからそうなるわけじゃないですか。そう思わなければいいだけの話っていう、だからそんなに難しいことではないですね。
Hey, Manny, as much as you enjoy and thrive in the big situations and the pressure situations, what are you anticipating in terms of the energy tomorrow, and how much are you looking forward to it?
Honestly, it's just excitement of being here. Something that we've worked hard as a team, as a group, to put ourselves in this situation. So, obviously, we'd love to been playing at home, but I know we got the support of the fans and the organization back home, and get ready to come to a hostile environment and on the road to come play a really good team. So. Just go out there and have fun. I think we've done that all year, and at the end of the day, it's just about going out there and playing baseball and playing the best baseball we could possibly play.
Your fifth postseason, how much of those experiences help you? What have you learned about yourself, maybe in terms of those situations, and what can you share with some of your teammates?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just the game doesn't change. It's the same game. You still got to go out there and make 27 outs to try to win that game tonight, and ultimately it's about just paying attention to details. I think that's the biggest factor of it is, little things are gonna show the most, and you gotta be able to, make those little things count. Whether it's getting a guy over, making an out, getting the play, moving the guy over. These situations are not gonna come easy. So whenever the opportunity arises, just going back to the basics of playing baseball, and we've been doing that all year, so we just got to continue doing that.
What do you love about this club? You've been a part of different playoff teams before, but what's so unique about this team? What do you love about it?
Just the whole group. We've all connected as a whole. We've all struggled. We all dealt with some adversity. We've all had ups and downs as a team. So I think the biggest thing is we just stuck to the same role. And the same goal at the end of the day, which is to get here, to get to the situation, and put ourselves in a good one. So, we thrive as a team, and the guys that are in there, we're all pulling for each other, and ultimately that's all that really matters.
Over here to the right.
Hey, Manny, a two-part question about Buck Showalter. One, as someone who played for him for so long, what is it about him that allows him to connect immediately with teams when he takes them over? And secondly, what's it going to be like competing against someone with whom you competed with for so long?
Yeah, obviously, me and Buck go a long way, so kind of know his tactics a little bit. Know how he kind of likes to go about things, but ultimately he's a great manager, and there was no doubt when he signed here what he was going to do with that ball club, and for sure he did it with the team that they got over there. So ultimately it's about going out there and worrying about ourselves, worrying about what we could possibly do to try to win that game, and we know that we have our hands full, and we've had our hands full all year, so ultimately it's just going out there, and I think it's just taking in the moment, enjoying this to the fullest, and making the best of it.
AJ Cassavell?
Having played for Buck and now having played for Bob, how would you kind of compare and contrast the styles?
You never can. I mean, I think that's. I mean, they're both managers of the year. I think they've gone a long way. I think they're both unique in their own ways, and you really can't choose one. I mean, I think they're both great managers, and it's shown with their records and how they carry teams, and but obviously now getting to know Bob pretty well, and seeing a different side of him. He's definitely a guy that cares for his players, and brings the best out of his players every single day. So I've been lucky to have some pretty good managers. So.
We hear a lot about how steady Bob is. How important was that for this particular team, and how does he kind of show that steadiness?
I mean, it's huge. I mean, he's under control the whole time, under the game. So, we know that even when we're down, we still have peace of mind that we go out there and compete, because he gives us that confidence every single day. We know he's going to make the right moves. It's just a matter of us going out there and giving him the best that we can every single night, and he brings that from us.
Kevin Acee?
I know it's just about playing baseball, regular season, postseason, but everyone talks about how intense this is. And what do you like about the postseason? Just
the crowd. I mean, everywhere you go, it's going to be, the crowd's going to be involved, from pitch one. So I think that's the beauty of postseason baseball is the energy that's coming to every ballpark. Wild card game, DS, championship, World Series. They're bringing it every single day, and that energy is always going to be in the ballpark. And I think that's something that you feed off of, and something that you really enjoy and you take it in. Ultimately is about just getting those 27 outs. But obviously, all those things always, play into effect. That's why you always want to be playing at home. Obviously your home field advantage is always the best. But, just enjoying this it's always great.
Bryce Miller?
Manny, you talked a little bit about Buck Showalter, but what did you learn from him, if anything, specifically, and what was the relationship like? You're around a guy 162 games a year for that long.
I mean, he taught me how to post up every single day. I mean, no matter what. I mean, as a kid, he gave me the opportunity to come out there and just, postseason environment and just go out there and play baseball. I think that was the biggest thing as a young kid. So, that gave you the confidence to be who you are, and obviously with the group that we had there. Very similar to one that we have here as well. So, that's why we're able to, what I learned there was bring this to this organization, bring this to the team that we have here with some of these young players that are stepping in, some of the young players who are, being a big part of this team. So, learn a lot from people in the organization, and now you could take this and put it into this one as well.
What do you think when he's been around this game long enough that he actually managed Bob?
I saw that this morning. I saw that.
Did you know that before this morning? I did not. What's your thought on that?
That's crazy. I mean, it's I know Bob talks a little bit about catching a little bit, and his times when he was playing over the last couple of weeks, and I mean, that's just he's been around the game a long time, and now they're both managing in a crucial wild card game. They've been doing it for a long time against each other. I know we played against them a couple times. So, we got two of the best managers going head to head, over the weekend. It's going to be fun.
We have time for one last one in English, then we'll take a few in Spanish, then we got to get them out of here.
Manny, it's been a decade now since you made your postseason debut. How have you changed as a person? How have you matured as a leader and improved as a player over that 10-year span?
You just evolve. I mean, I think that's just the human nature of things. You learn from mistakes, you learn from good, you can learn from bad. I think it's all about evolving. I think this game is evolving. This world is evolving as well. So you just gotta, take the good, take the bad, and just go from there. But when you're 20 years old, coming to postseasons, I mean, I just wanted to play baseball. I was just glad I was in the big leagues. I wasn't even thinking about facing Darvish as in my first playoff game. So, and Darvish is throwing tomorrow. So, now we're on the same squad. So I've seen what he does in the postseason. It's not easy. We couldn't get to him. But I think just over the years, you just learn from your peers. I think that's the biggest thing about baseball is, there's so many different opinions, so many different people, so many different personalities that you learn from everyone, and you just create this bond between players, and that's why this game is a family, as a unit overall. You just take that into consideration, you learn from it, and you just try to be the best person you could possibly be to the guy next to you.
All right, we're going to switch over to Spanish. We got time for one or two. Uno o dos en español. Pedro.
Manny, cuando firmaste con los Padres, fue pensando en esos momentos grandes, el escenario grande. ¿Cómo tomas esta oportunidad que tienes de frente para guiar a los Padres a playoff?
Sí, ¿sabes? Estamos aquí en evento, pero fue un año diferente. Ahora vamos a jugar con fanáticos adelante, vamos a jugar con una ciudad atrás de nosotros. ¿Sabes? Tenemos una mejor oportunidad este año. ¿Sabes? Cuando yo firmé aquí, esta era la meta del equipo, de la organización, y aquí estamos hoy. Para darnos un chance mañana para tratar de llevar otra serie para atrás para San Diego, y ¿sabes? Nos sentimos bien como equipo.
Bueno, y con la experiencia que tienes tú en postemporada, el picheo también, ¿cómo afrontan la serie sabiendo que tienen buenas oportunidades contra los Mets?
¿Sabes? Nosotros nos sentimos bien como equipo. Al final del día tenemos que empezar entre los jugadores que tenemos allá adentro, y tratar de jugar el juego de nosotros, no tratar de cambiar. Jugamos juego el año completo como equipo, y eso es lo que vamos a seguir haciendo.
Okay, uno o dos más aquí enfrente.
Manny, definitivamente tú has sido vital para que el equipo de los Padres estén hoy en la postseason. Háblame de la ventaja y de ventajas que tiene el equipo de los Padres contra los Mets de Nueva York.
Nadie tiene ventaja ahora. Eso es lo mejor de la postemporada. Todo el mundo está igual ahora. Estamos 0-0, todo el mundo está 0-0. Todo el mundo tiene todos los peloteros saludables para tratar de ganar para su equipo. ¿Sabes? Al final del día tenemos que jugar como jugamos el año completo, y nosotros tenemos la pieza para hacerlo.
Y la última, Daniel.
Manny, un placer. Manny, el equipo está ya en postemporada. El fanático de San Diego esperaba ese momento, para eso te trajeron. Ahora añaden a Juan Soto. ¿Cómo están viviendo ese momento ustedes?
¿Sabe? Nosotros, ¿sabe? Comenzando en sprint training teníamos una meta para llegar aquí. Obviamente queríamos llegar. Llegamos en julio traímos a Juan Soto, ayudamos al equipo con Bell, con Hader, con Drury, que ha sido clave para este equipo en la segunda mitad. ¿Sabes? Los números no enseñan tanto como deberían, pero yo creo que lo que ellos hicieron para este equipo en la segunda mitad ha sido clave para estar aquí en esta oportunidad hoy. ¿Sabes? Mañana tenemos un pelotero que tiene experiencia, ganado, y sabe manejar estos momentos. Con el line-up que nosotros tenemos, con el equipo que tenemos toda la confianza que, ¿sabes? Podemos hacer una cosa buena y especial aquí. Últimamente eso es tratar de ir y jugar pelota. Tratar de ganar mañana, el próximo, y sacar los 27 outs en el primer juego.
Bob, you've had a lot of playoff experience. What have you learned over the years in terms of the difference between postseason and regular season, both maybe in terms of how you manage a game and also manage players and how different players handle these types of situations?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's a little more urgency involved. Every game means that much more. The regular season you're built for 162. The postseason you're built for, in this case, 2 out of 3. So, moves probably come a little bit quicker. You're probably not as patient at points in time during the game, and you rely on your entire roster like you do during the course of the season. But there's certain guys that are probably a little bit more important, whether it's your starting pitchers or the guys that you rely on kind of more to top to middle of the order.
But as far as your experience also dealing with players and understanding who your players are, you have a better sense now of like how different guys might respond in these types of situations?
Well, guys that have had experience, the guys that haven't, then you never really know. I mean, I think you get to know guys well enough to have an idea, but until you get put in, under the fire, it's a whole different deal here. But, you don't have to inspire guys to get up for games that maybe you do during the course of the season at certain periods of time. That here every game, every inning, every at bat, there's that urgency to it. So I think that's what really makes postseason special.
You've had success against the Mets this season so far, 4-2. How much can you glean from that? And also, you have a much different roster than the last time.
Right. So we should feel good about that. It does not apply, in the series. So. I think all that's thrown out the window. Like you said, we have a little different roster composition here, too. Some of these guys weren't here when we played them earlier in the season. And, once you get to the postseason, teams are playing differently to get there. I think, in our case, you try to bring that momentum with you, but it's a different ballgame now.
Given what everyone's anticipating with the quality of the starting pitching, how important might bullpens be, the back end of bullpens here in the series?
No doubt, and I think our bullpen's been pitching pretty well here coming down the stretch. I think we've finally gotten to a point where we feel good about who goes where and when, especially with Josh at the back now. So, bullpens are extremely important. They're the ones that finish out the games. Very rarely do you see a complete game, let alone in the season, let alone during a postseason game. So our bullpen's going to be very important to us.
Go to Bryce Miller.
Bob, what's it like to, you did play for Buck and now you're managing it against him in the playoffs? Is it baseball's circle of life in some way, or what's that like to live those two relationships?
Yeah, I also played against him in Double-A, so we're not that far off in age. He was a really young manager when I played for him, and I was probably an older player at that point in time. But, it does come full circle. We played against each other, he managed me, and I take a lot of what I do now was influenced by him, even though, he was a younger manager at the time. I've watched him very closely over the years. We've maintained a relationship, so it's pretty cool to be in this situation, yet once you get on the field and you're playing games, he's probably the last guy I'm thinking about. I'm trying to run my team the way I think is best suited, and he's going to be doing the same thing on his side.
You said you were influenced by him in what way?
He was the first manager that kind of explained to me why I was playing on a certain day. And I didn't get to play a ton, so it was important to me. And he let me prepare for a particular pitcher. So he would say, okay, you're playing on this day. It might have been 2 or 3 days before, and I was able to kind of visualize and prepare for it. And I appreciated that because as a bench player, especially back then, rosters were used a little bit differently. The bench players basically showed up, like a football player Sunday at 1. And, nowadays you're trying to get your role in bench players in there where they have the best chance to be successful.
Bob, can we get an update on Clev and Grisham?
Grish is here. I mean, he flew, I think, red eye last night. He just had a family situation he was dealing with. And Clev has passed both tests, so he will be on his way, I think, later tonight on a red eye as well.
What sort of decisions are you coming down to? 14, 12, which your pitchers
Right.
you used, Mania used Stammen quite a bit. Chris Matt, where are you at
Right.
with that?
Well, we're still making those decisions. We have some time. I think we're still probably leaning towards 14 position players, 12 pitchers, but who those guys are, not sure yet.
What would be the benefit of that 5-man bench? Because I know you haven't dug too deep into the bench that
Right.
often this season. What are the benefits of it?
You know what? Just maybe some, depending on, how the game goes, different variables late. If we do go with 3 catchers, you bring your second catcher in the game, you also have a third catcher there. If something happens, you're always kind of on pins and needles. So that potential could be there. We had trying to get a handle on a couple of guys who got a lot of at-bats in the last few games to feel like maybe we were comfortable with them coming off the bench. So, those are the kind of things you're looking at.
Does Clevenger's kind of late travel and whatever, does that put his standing on this roster in any jeopardy? Or I know he probably wasn't necessarily going to start in the series anyway, but how does that affect things in terms of
We're still trying to figure that one out, how much we used guys in the last couple of games. That's one thing about expanded rosters now. If in the past you were able to have multiple guys that, in the situation that we were in the last couple of days, you didn't have to lean on some of your key guys. So, it's a little different with 28, but we're still, trying to feel out and figure out, how guys felt that pitched the last couple of days.
Bob, you talked a lot about how much you've enjoyed getting to know you, Darvish, this year. I was wondering what it was like getting to manage against him, game plan against him in past years.
It was very difficult. I mean, it always has been because he has so many different pitches, even more so now. He never stops. He never says, okay, these are the pitches that I'm going to use and that I'm comfortable with and feel good about. He can do stuff on the fly. So, even at the end of the season here, he was working on a couple different type pitches because he was facing teams in our division, multiple times and wanted to give him different looks. I think he's very unique in that. Most guys kind of lean on certain pitches and try to, get your mechanics right where you don't have to think too much about that, but he's able to do things differently, invent new pitches, pitch differently from game to game. That comes with a lot of experiences and a lot of success.
Hey, Bob. Both you and Buck kind of represent my generation here, and both succeeded younger managers and have had more success. Do you see this series as a victory for fellow ARP people? And why is it, do you think baseball may look at things differently than other parts of society when it comes to the youth-obsessed culture in our society?
Right. Well, I think it's changed here recently, in the last 3 or 4 years with guys like Dusty, too. You'll see some guys that have had quite a bit of experience. I think it's gotten to a point where the analytics and maybe newer managers that are more adjusted to that has gotten to a point where maybe experience plays too. So I think you're seeing some older managers hang around, some experienced managers coming back. They're still, I think, trying to find a balance between, what's the best way to go about it as far as new age analysis and experience from the past.
Got time for one more over here on the left.
Your team has relatively few players who were drafted or originally signed by this organization. As a manager, when you're kind of pulling guys from so many different places, is that a different job for you to try and get them to gel when they haven't come up together and, competed together as a unit?
It is, and being a new manager as well. So I'm part of that. There are a lot of guys that have not played together here. The one experience and good experience I can draw from was the 2001 Diamondback team, where that was an expansion team. It was a veteran club. Almost every one of those guys came from different organizations and had to kind of gel on the fly. So I think the one common denominator here with the guys that have been brought in is looking to win a world championship, and that kind of bonds everybody.